I'm Michaela. I'm in Alberta, Canada. I do love to hear where you are, if you like to share. As you come on, in thinking about this topic, and really the whole point of this is to sort of bring into awareness what happens when we're seeking for something, when we're looking for something. It's kind of natural that we get a little busy-minded. But I think it doesn't need to be that way. That's what I'm really seeing. But it's good to be aware of where it does show up and how it shows up. And if you're highly sensitive, like I am, that, if you've been here before, I don't like to label things, but I do like to use those things as good information. So if you have an understanding of your sensitive nature, of your own unique nature, then you are able to navigate more easily through life because you just know yourself more. So by the end of this hour, I hope for you to have a little more clarity, maybe a clearer mind, to have more compassion and understanding for yourself, maybe some new awareness of how things work for you that you weren't really aware of that it was even happening. So maybe that'll bring some confidence as well. So, and let's start with the breath. Let's start with a calmer mind, a clearer mind. I invite you to just settle in right where you are. And you don't even have to do anything, but notice if you do. Notice what you know kind of what you're thinking if something happens automatically and you weren't aware of it, and then you become aware of it. So I know this happens frequently to me when I think about when someone invites me to breathe with them, like if I'm going to be doing yoga or whatever it is, there's some shifting. So it's like, isn't that interesting? It seems that I believe that I need to prepare to do something that I've been doing since I was born. I certainly didn't think about it then. It's funny, right? I didn't think that, let me get ready for breathing. I mean, there was a getting ready for breathing. It's a whole birthing thing. But there wasn't any mind involved in it except for universal mind, the infinite intelligence that lives us, that created us. So breathing. It's so curious how the mind does calm when we look to our breath. What happens when you put your attention on your little finger? Is the mind just as calm? More? Less? does it change if you look to breathing from your nostrils? And what about if you breathe in and out of your mouth? What if you breathed in and out of your nose, but you put your attention on the expansion of your torso? I notice a little bit of thinking of, mouth closed, breathing out of nose, and now attention on here. There is attention whenever we're shifting our attention. There is thinking. Bringing your attention back into the room, away from the breath. And just listen to my words just for a moment. And as you're listening to these words, I want you to notice your breath again. Is it happening? It's just fun to play with ourselves, to play with this system, with this vehicle, with the principles of how life works. We have a mind. There is divine mind that guides us. And there's consciousness. There's awareness. When I asked you to put your attention or your awareness on my words, it went away from the breath. And then our consciousness allows us to become aware again of the breath. Ooh, and we were kind of unaware of the breath when focusing on the words being said. Yet it still happened. It's still happening. So this is kind of an invitation. Oh, and then the other principle of thought. And our thought is our attention. What we're putting our attention on, that's thought. We have the capacity to think. We are thought. Scientifically, there's nothing here. There's nothing. Going into the teeniest, tiniest, zooming into the tiniest bit of us, there's nothing there. Just energy. And thought comes from that. It's formless. And then as soon as a thought arises, as soon as something arises, a thought, there's form. It comes into form. That's all we are, is thought. We have created forms everywhere. Hard forms, tangible ones. But even your thoughts are forms. Once it's wrapped, once it's conjured up a picture. a meaning. As soon as we give it our attention, as soon as it has focus on it, it changes. And we feel that in our body. So it's kind of cool to know that there's things happening without us having to think about them. I'd like to point to that today. That there's this guidance that's happening. We can't, like, if you in your mind you like look for it right now. Where is it? How am I being guided? Oh, I was guided here. I was guided to sit where I am, to be where you are, to what have you been guided to already this morning? Without any thought of your own. Maybe you got out of bed, maybe you're still in bed. Maybe you dressed warmly, maybe you dressed not so warm. Maybe you put socks on or not. Maybe you were guided to brush your teeth, wash your face, or whatever it is that you do in the morning without thinking. And then we want to have a better life. We want to experience things and have them feel good, better. We want less conflict. We want more calm. We want a work that is interesting to us and fulfilling and meaningful, and in whatever way that is for you. Maybe entertaining. You want to work with alongside people that you get along with, that it's you look forward to going to work or to wherever it is that you go in your day. Maybe it's just within your family. And we hear that it's good to to meditate, to do things that bring us into a state of calm or quiet or no thinking. And we look out there for all kinds of things that we might try to do. We buy books and we listen to podcasts and insight timer talks, and we pick up on things that we bring back. We might make notes. I'm a note taker. I take way less notes than I used to, but I'm a note taker. I often take things in for the information. And then let me see how this makes sense. Let me try it out. What was that list? What do I need to do? Do this 15 minutes a morning. Yep, check. Focus on my breath while I'm doing that. Don't think. Or, I have so many lists and, past, where I've written them and I've typed them up, and I have it's like, here's a routine for before work. Here's a routine for like in the day, midday. Here's an afternoon one and an evening one. And I gotta tell you, I never did them. I spent a lot of time creating those lists, trying to get it right, trying to get this mindfulness down, trying to be more of who I am, try to find that, try to get home. And as highly sensitive beings, we think deeply. We want to go there. We're interested to understand. How does this work? I think it's great. It's one of my pleasures in life to explore and test it out and, get curious. And I know I can get caught in that. Often what happens is my spirit says, no. I don't want to do A, B, C, D, E every morning and then do this in the afternoon and that. And it doesn't feel, it sounded like a good idea. It seemed to make sense, like logically, that makes sense. And that can happen. And then when you test it out, it's like, you might see the potential. Okay. This felt good. I'm not in a rhythm. I have this other habit going on that's kind of, they're fighting with each other a bit. They're not in alignment. Well, what feels good? This new thing that I'm trying, that feels good. That feels good. What I'm doing here, what I have been doing habitually, that's not feeling as good. It's not having me experience what I'm looking to experience. Or we can look at others who seem to have it all together. Oh my gosh, they, have this time. They take time for themselves and they seem to have time for others and they seem to always be calm. And it's just like, why can't that be me? It's like we're all uniquely finding our own path back home. And here's the kicker. Yes, Megan says. The kicker is our natural state is meditative. Our natural state is calm and clear. That's our come from. That's our foundation. It's already there. And yeah, it can absolutely be helpful to meditate, to get quiet, to whatever you want to call. I don't the word meditate doesn't always connect. It's just like getting quiet. When I use the word meditate, it's like, ooh, that's when I gotta shift in my seat and gotta get ready for this. But when I look at it and I just convert the word to, it's just getting quiet. It's just sinking back into home. It's coming home. No one wants to hit the ball and be out on second base, stuck out there. You always there's always a path home. And it's there all the time. It's not only there when you sit down to meditate, or have quiet time, or do yoga, or whatever it is that seems to calm your mind. In a moment, when we were looking at the breath, we may not have said, okay, we're going to meditate now. It's just like, we're just looking at the breath. To me, that was a meditative moment. Quieter. Calmer. You can almost Hear the silence between the words. What if there's no right way? There's only your way. And you kind of find that out. This whole why I'm here on this platform talking is really always about pointing back to who you are more of. We're not going to discount our body or discount anything. It's like you are an experience. You're a process. You're a process of living, of expressing and experiencing the expression. When we talk about journey, it's like, yeah, there's, well, I'm going to say it, I don't know where it's going to go. I was almost going to say it's like there's almost like there's nowhere to go. Because we're always there. Unless our mind is so full and we think we're here, there, everywhere. We're always here, but our thinking it seems to create a distance from who we are. But there is no distance. It's like a thought away. Let's breathe. Just allow yourself to just have a couple of good deep breaths. And just watch it come into your lungs and track it out. Who is that that's doing that tracking? How is it that we can go on a journey inside of our lungs and out? And we can track something that we can't see in and out. We're always home. We're always there. We're always coming from there. Or let's say we have that ability. That's our home base. And the only thing that keeps us, that seems, is our own thoughts and thinking. Our thoughts come up, and the thoughts come and go, and we can just let them come and go. But we like to grab onto them and think about them. It's the thinking. The thoughts are benign. And when we recognize that it's our thinking about them that gives them any kind of juice, that can either feel great or feel not so great. It's the power of thought. It's amazing. When we look at our life and we look out there and we look at the things we have and what we're doing and how we're doing it and who we're doing it with, and we're married or not, have children or not, we have all of these things. And when we consider all those things, that's where overwhelm can come in. And when we can flip that around and come at it from the inside. And I recognize that it takes practice to see that we see these things and we're only experiencing them from inside. And it's cool because when we can see that more, there's something that naturally happens. The more you get to know yourself, the more you become aware of when you get overwhelmed. How does that happen? When you feel misunderstood, or when you feel frustrated with yourself because you want this and you just can't seem to make it happen. And of course, the more you want to make something happen, it's like the carrot in front of the donkey. It's like you just can never get it. It's always like one step ahead. But it's inside, so it was never out there. So we can experience that calm, that sense of aliveness, a sense of freedom, really any moment of any day, even before we settle in. Anytime. And we've all experienced it, right? Or things are just going along tickety-boo. And it goes along in this way, and it's just like, wow. What's going on? Things are really working out. And then we can start to think about that. Have a thought of, oh, when's the other shoe going to drop? And all of these other things that we've heard, many things since we were kids. Life is hard. It's not a bowl of cherries. Money doesn't grow on trees. And these things can come back and tickle us and distract us. And before we know it, things that were going along all tickety-boo, it's like all of a sudden things start to happen. We see it, it's like, oh, well, here we go. And then as soon as it's an energetic, vibrational thing, then we start to go in another way, another direction. And we experience more down that path. The power of our thought, the power of who we are, it's so vast that it's kind of almost inconceivable. And that's where we can it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know, this makes no sense. And then we will grab onto something that we can pen, something that that's tangible, just like get our footing, get our grounding. And there is seemingly like a trusting. Personally, I've experienced that there is some trust that happens, but it's a test. It's like, test it out. And it's like, oh, okay, I get that. You can kind of see how it works. Makes sense. And then you get a sense of who are you trusting? What are you trusting? You might call it God or Allah or infinite intelligence or wisdom, or it's just like, hi, Anya. Hi, Michaela. Thank you for this session. If emotions are in association with thoughts, why is love often described and felt through the heart? Well, is it? Is it for you? Where else is it? Is that just something we've been conditioned to believe as well? I'm not disputing it. I love the idea of, I think it's because it's a tangible, yeah, possibly, yes. I kind of like the idea of it because it gives me that tangible thing. Because in a world of, what do you mean we're all thought? What do you mean we're not even there? What do you mean we're making it all up? What do you mean I have total control over my experience of life? Because once I understand that I'm only feeling my thinking, that it's like, oh, what am I going to think about then? Well, how about what infinite intelligence or God is guiding you to? Because that always feels good. So is it like love? When you think about love, even, this is interesting because even saying the word, I feel something on my arms. I feel like when I really settle into like love, it's like love is what we are. Really? Where else? Where is it all? Hi, Elena. Nice to see you. So, how much of it is that? Yes, I feel it through the system, through your system. Yeah. Thank you, Anya, because I had never thought about that before. But in thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I feel love in different ways. It's like a sense of aliveness. It's not always in the heart. Although, interestingly, when, if losing someone or something like that, I remember, I'm specifically thinking about when I found out my brother had passed, and I curled in. It's like what is that? It was like an instinctual protection, of the heart. I don't know. It wasn't something I thought about. I don't know that I felt it in my heart. I just knew that there was a contraction. And what happens when we are feeling love? Typically, they say that we're more open-hearted. We're more open. I have a background in energy healing, and often, I can't tell you how many times over the years, in going in, I'm very visual, and there's like this, some kind of armor or cage or box around the heart. Metaphorical, right? Perhaps moving into protective fetal position. Yeah. So, but when you consider, this is getting a little meta, but when you consider that we're thought, and that's all we've ever been, and all of our conditioning, all that we know came from thought. Even that idea about heart and love is thought. So I think love goes beyond the heart, beyond the body. I believe it is what we all are. I just put it up last night, so I'm not sure if it's live yet, but I'm doing a talk next week about love in focus and talking about it from a universal perspective. And I know I have at times seen love as different than I used to. This whole idea about our natural state being this state of mindfulness, which when I say mindful, it's like present. It's quiet. It's no thinking. It's more there's chat. Thank you for that also. I watched your video on the universal laws just before I entered this chat. Thank you for that also. Yeah, you're welcome. We can get our minds really full of things all the time, and they can just as quickly empty. We've done that. Well, I don't know what your experience was, but a couple of times on the call we breathed. And the thing is, you can only think one thought at a time. So when you put your attention to your breath, the thinking that was going on the moment before drops, it falls away. It's gone. It's like a cloud. They come and go. So fun to lay on the grass and see the clouds and, have a buddy with you that you can say, look I see a deer, and then I see, and it's like, oh, now it's a rabbit, and now it's like, oh, now that one's gone. It's gone. Can't make anything more of that. And then there's the next. It's like, that's what our thoughts are like. It's just really great to understand yourself, to notice. It's really all about noticing. It's really about getting to know yourself, how you work. Notice what gets you revved up. I had 2 calls prior to being here this morning. And they were both how I would describe a fast talker. They talked really fast, and there wasn't a lot of breathing in between. And several times, and now I know this about myself, so I can catch it. The first one, I didn't catch it as quickly. I got revved up in my mind a bit, and then it's just like I could feel it. I could feel it in my body. I could feel it. I was kind of pulling in, contracting a bit, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to listen to every word, and they're happening too fast, and it's actually not helpful. So what I know is that my brain, this is a wonderful thing about the brain, and it can also really get you into trouble where you only pick up, I think it's something like 10% of what someone is saying, or something that you see. You're only taking in like 10%, and then your brain takes everything that you've known, and it mashes a picture together, mashes the scenario, the story, together. And it happens so quickly, and then you sort of catch on to that, and you have a thought about it. It's like, oh, and then you put meaning to it. Oh, she means this. Now, sometimes that can be really helpful. And this is also where, I hope this is okay because we're kind of going everywhere. This is also where miscommunication can happen and conflict can come in. Because then it's like we say, oh, she's talking about this. And then we go off in our thinking that she's meaning this, and she's actually meaning that. Now, all of a sudden, we're on, and I'm sure you've had this in relationships, where all of a sudden there's this, that's not what I said. Yes, it is. I heard it. You said. Then we can get into this. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Well, that's sometimes what happens. We look that whole where you see what you're looking for. You find what you're looking for. So there was a time where in this conversation where I just repeated back, and it's like, no, that's not what I meant. Oh, it's like, okay. It's like, and it was just like, I don't have to hear every word. It actually overwhelms me a bit when it's really happening really fast and I'm trying to take every word in, because it's important to me to listen to someone. But it's like, oh, I'm going to listen deeper. I'm going to listen to what's being said also behind the words. And it's like immediately I felt better because I know I can trust that. And I hope you know that you can trust that too. And if you don't, I invite you to test that out in your life. To be present, but not try and hang on every word to get to learn something or know it so well, but allow being mindful, present, sort of sunk back into yourself, still listening, actually even more deeply, more clearly, let's say, and take it all in and allow those feelings, allow it to all kind of form. I hazard the guess that you'll get more. You will have heard deeply, and the connection you have with that person will strengthen, expand. Just a thought. Lori, I have a lot of thoughts, like I must contact, I must clean that, I should have. Yeah. And I'm wondering how that's serving you. I'm wondering what that feels like for you in your body. So it's really great to notice that. What would you like instead? It's like a record on repeat. I truly get you. I so get that. And it seems to happen with certain things sometimes. For me, it's kind of tech. I often, one of the things that kind of happens when we have a very busy mind, as a highly sensitive person, we tend to isolate. We tend to avoid. So being clear on like what feels good to be done now. I have a number of, just an example, I have a number of things on my list to do around things for here, to help people, to serve people, things that I'm going to make available, that kind of stuff. And a number of them involve tech stuff. I know I've mentioned that before. And I also know about myself. I've learned, and even though you know something about yourself, you've learned it, it doesn't mean that things are going to change just like that. And now you're going to, flip it all on its head and you're going to do exactly. Sometimes it can take time. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to, because I've experienced both. And if I can, I know it's true for all of you. I've seen it in people that I work with, where something that it just seemed like it was that they felt it was so ingrained, like it was a habit, not just a little habit. It was a habit, something, really big and hard, and it's just like, what's it gonna take? It was overwhelming. And then, of course, all the thoughts about what needs to happen in order to break that habit. And I hope, if you've been here a bit, I hope you picked up that a habit can change just like that. And sometimes it changes over time. Sometimes we wake up one morning, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that anymore. When did that happen? When did that change? I bet you it's already happened for you in some ways. We just don't notice it because it happens so subtly. Anyways, this whole tech thing. So it's like, right. I have a lot of, my desk actually looks pretty good today because I put something on it that helps me keep things off in a folder. In folders. It's like, right, what works best for me? It does not work for me to have papers all over. I still have a lot of papers where other people would never have papers there. And I have a lot of ideas. And if you're highly sensitive, you are probably creative. You may not think that you're creative, but you probably have a lot going on. You have a lot of ideas coming up. I have an insight timer folder beside me that has, I can't even guess how many talks and tracks and ideas and things that have come up over for so long. And I keep them on a scrap of paper or a sticky note, or write them on a piece of paper, or, oh my gosh. We're creative. And it's like, you don't want to squish it. No, but it's just like, what's now? What's the not even the first thing, it's the now thing. So I picked one project that I'm just going to complete, and it means other things are just not going to get done. It's getting these onto a place where they can be rewatched. I got the first one kind of into place yesterday. It's taken so long. Why did it take so long? Because I had so much thinking about it. That and all of the other things that I must do, that I need to do, that I should be doing. It's like, oh my gosh, I said I was going to do that and I haven't done that yet. That is being full-mindedness. So what works for me, and I'm a little slow to pick it up again, like I can forget. What I mean is I can forget. But what has proven helpful for me is to just be single-minded. One moment, what do I need to do first? And if I'm building something and like putting Lego together and it's like step 1, step 2, I kind of like that. But when I'm creating something and I actually see the end result, but I'm the one that has to build all this step 1, 2, 3, like I'm the one, I have a resistance to that. I just want to jump to the fun end thing. So, Lori, I would ask you, what is the one thing the right now thing, because that's all we have is right now. That's it. And sometimes, even though I've chosen one project like this, there's other projects like getting more, of the lives up. Oh, you know what? Please let me invite you to listen to you instead. Let me point you back to you, because because it's inside. It's an inside out experience. I share my experiences and stuff because maybe there'll be something that'll resonate, or how I've done it might spark your own inner wisdom. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do it that way that she does, but it does give me this idea I could do that. That makes sense. Oh, yeah. So I want to always point you back to you. And if my words help you do that, awesome. But I want you to take what you hear into your own life and test it out. Well, how does this work for me? Notice when you're getting a little revved up, full-minded. What's going on? Oh, I've planned too many things in my day. Oh, this doesn't work well for me. I need a little bit of space. I need some transition time. Oh, I'm doing more time thinking about what I feel that I must do than I am just doing the thing. I had a session with my own coach on Tuesday, and it was around, part of it was around these things that they keep churning around, just like you said, Lori, repeating on my mind. And one was our bathroom. Oh my gosh. So after the call, I went and it has a water closet where the toilet is in a separate room from the rest of the bathroom. We have one of those. I just cleaned one part after. And then, lo and behold, I cleaned the next part. So before I knew it, the whole water closet was cleaned. And then the stuff did sit there for another day before I did the other part, like the sink and all that kind of stuff. But it was just like, oh my gosh, just one thing. Which is the thing that is most, that is like coming up to be done? This, okay, just do that. And then it led to the next. We only have this one moment. Yet our mind can try and jam all this stuff in it and have us feel like should, must, have to, need to. And go back. I invite you to go back to that feeling inside. Knowing that you're guided. You're guided. Even God's guiding you even with the most mundane things. Hey, Sandy, you're at HSP Pickup Energy. Yes. Welcome. Nice to see you. By the way. Yeah. You do pick up energy. You're more sensitive to surroundings and things. So it can feel like you're being hemmed in. That's where overwhelm can come. Hi, welcome, Nicholas. How from chaos to focus. Connect. I have ADD, I think. Yeah, me too. One moment, one project, whether it's making a meal, whether it's writing a letter, whether it's making a cup of tea, whether it's hugging your child or your mate. One moment, one project, I was going to say task. I don't want to say project and task as it relates to our personal relationships and all that kind of stuff, but it's a good way to one. this has helped me, Nicholas. And if you've been in here for a bit, you've heard how I forget. It took me a really long time. Yeah. There's a copywriter that I love. She's a Canadian, Tarzan K. And yes, she was about the one person, one message, it's like, I'm still learning because I do have so many things going on. I mean, this was about mindfulness, and I know and it wasn't you pulling it in different directions. I know I pull things in different directions. I'm trying to just allow that, and also trying to be a little bit more on point. I wanted at the end of this for you to maybe be a little more clear-minded, or to have an idea of how you could be. And the power of one, I think, is really helpful. And we can bring that back to, the three principles. The person Sydney Banks is the one who first articulated it. And he confirmed what we all kind of know already, I believe, in this community, is that there is only one. There's only one universal spiritual law. There's only one. We can bring everything back to that infinite energy that everything came from, is coming from. And that it is our state. It is our natural state, that energy, that infinite potential. It is love. It is abundance. It is it is all. So, Nicholas, I'm going to use that because I hadn't really thought about that until I said that about one. That we can always bring it back to one. We only have one moment. Fullness, yes. Freedom, peace, expansion. We are meant to, if we were meant to be stagnant, there's no such thing, because even this pen is not stagnant. Everything breaks down, runs out, moves along, changes. Even the energy that we are, that lives and breathes us, is changing all the time. It is, how do I say this? It is expressing. It is our bodies, our cells. We're not the same body that we were even a moment ago, in the last moment, which there's none, because there's only this moment. We're changed all the time. Our cells are replacing and dividing and doing whatever they do. Was this helpful? And is there something, first of all, was this helpful? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Yes, Nicholas. Awesome. If there's an unanswered, yes, Michaela, Laurie says, great. Good. You're welcome, Nicholas. If there is a question that I could answer, but maybe not today, is there something that you would be curious to hear a different perspective on? Anything. I'm always open to that. I know I'm supposed to focus in on one thing. That's, for many, many years I didn't do anything because I didn't want to be boxed in. And isn't that true for all of us? it makes sense that we don't want to be boxed in because we're being lived by infinite potential, intelligent energy. Struggling with, hello, Sunita. Struggling with motivation. Well, I'm going to say a little something about that, and then I'll also put it on my list, because I do like to be responsive. I'd rather talk about what you want. I mean, I always like to talk about the body too. I'll always have something in there because I know that it's so easy to get caught and hung up on our body and our image and food and all of these things. And yeah, there's just because it's so tangible, because we're like living through it and it looks like it's something that it's really not. So I am always going to be talking something about that. But life is vast, and the what I'm talking about is true for anything and everything. So even motivation. Sunita, I'm going to share, it's not going to be a quote because I can't remember the words exactly, but it was something that really struck me, and it kind of changed things in some way. Not that there are still things that, I got to do, like the tech, that I still have to, I have to be present to the moment of it in order to get it going, which makes sense, doesn't it? If you're not present, I'm speaking about this in a different way, Sunita, but if you're not present to whatever it is that you want to get motivated to do, I guess my first question is it something that you really want to do? And I mean really want to do. I mean, does God want you to do it? Is it coming from within, or is it something that you knowledge that you have, that you believe that in order to experience what it is you truly want, that you need to do A, B, C, D, and those things you have no interest in doing? Like me with my tech, when I had to find something to convert an MP3 into an MP4. I did not want to do that. Actually, that was the easy part. Yes, journaling keeps you mentally well. Great. So when you say motivation, are you speaking of motivation just like in general? Are you speaking about motivation? Because what is motivation? Motive is like being in movement, and it's usually towards something. I have no motivation to do it. Oh, got it. You have no motivation to journal. What would feel better, Sunita? What would feel better? If journaling keeps you mentally well, but right now there's there's something tied to it that's actually having you feel unmotivational, then it's not taking you to wellness right now. Tell me how that's landing. What it might just mean is there something else? Maybe you would like to talk it out. Maybe you have a little, I'm just throwing things out there that are coming out. It's just like, there's many, what is journaling to you, first of all? There's a number of questions that you can ask yourself here to get to what's actually going on, what's actually in the way, what is the resistance about. I was told by a teacher I am rubbish. I will not be able to write a memoir. Well, all I can say to that, Sunita, is that the teacher is unaware of possibility, that it wouldn't be surprising to me that she has learned a lot and she's taken a lot of knowledge, things that she knows. It's in her personal mind. And she was teaching only from that. Wow, that's pretty extreme. And so it's a very limited view of life. Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you, Sunita. That's, yeah, and I'm going to hold my heart. This is the only thing I can offer in relation to that. Is that, yeah, all I can offer to that, I truly believe this, is that you can every human being is only doing the best they can with what they know. In the moment, in that one moment. And I truly hope that she has seen something fresh and new and would look back on that moment, Sunita, and say, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Because she had some thinking. That is not, excusing or anything, but I hope it offers an understanding. And I get how something that has come and is sort of, I was going to say, struck, because those things can feel like that, especially because we've been conditioned to believe that another can cause us to feel a certain way, when that's not how it works. That's an outside-in understanding of life, and it's backwards. That we are the only ones. And it sounds to me, Sunita, like you do have a memoir in you that's wanting to get out. Let me just go back to some of our... First, Sunita, I just wanted to just check in with you here. So I was told I did you okay. She's in her class. I'll get back to your comment, Lori. Indeed. It was online. Shar. Sunita, I'm so sorry that happened to you, Lori. Sorry. It's awful to do that and think it's okay, right? Sandy, a friend of mine from high school was told he would never pass high school math. He went to college and got a PhD in math. Take that, high school teacher, or whoever told him that, right? We are limitless. I know I've said, I can't even really grasp that, but more and more when I think, I don't know how to do this, I can't, I need help. It's just you got this, Michaela, because it's not me. It's who do I think has got this? If I think my personal mind, little Michaela, has got this, right, I'm in trouble. I can only do so much with that. But with God's grace, with that infinite intelligence living through you, oh my gosh, so much available that we can't even conceive of it. And Nicholas says, don't believe that crap. Hear, hear. Elena sending you all kinds of love. Shar, if I might offer, perhaps your teacher was triggered and might not have known. Yeah. Sunita, she said, I am not perfect for that group. Shar, not that it is acceptable in any way. Yeah. Well, you know what, Sunita? I would say that you're perfect for some group, but I would say that if that is the thinking if that is the way of that teacher in that group, I would say too that it's not the right group for you. Not because of the memoir, just because of the soul that you are more, well, I don't know. What do I know? If that didn't feel right, you know it's not the right one for you. But there is one out there for you if you haven't already found it. With 8 billion people in the world, there is a group there for you that it does see, not that sees beyond what we can see, beyond the scribbles on our paper that are wanting to come out, beyond, like, look in, and are there to, like, draw it out of you. They're like God's instruments, right? We're all instruments to each other. We're all instruments of drawing the best out of ourselves with each other. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that very well. You lost your confidence and you feel like rubbish. Sunita, I want to invite you to see actually just test this out for yourself in your life. Because, Lori, you have to go. You hope all have a peaceful day, so need to be kind to yourself. Thanks, Michaela. Yes, absolutely. You're welcome. Nice to have you here, Lori. Have a great day, too. Peaceful, mindful. I'm going to see this for you, Sunita, until you can see it and feel it for yourself. That confidence, that is your natural state. That is how you came into this world. And you can know that because I can't imagine that you've ever come across an insecure baby. We just are. You just are. You're everything. Nicholas says you have to think, I am a wonder. And you can even stop it. I am. You are everything wonderful that comes after I am. I am is the one. But because I know that I can't make you feel anything, truly, that you are experiencing your own thoughts right now, like Sunita, with these lovely comments from everyone. I'm betting that it feels good. And I want you to notice, because this is so important for all of us, that we and these comments are outside of you. And you are reading them and interpreting them, and that is what you are feeling. So it's not, no one is making you feel how you're feeling right now. I invite you to just hang out with that and just sit with that. Because just as how we can't make you feel better, we can, like, that's what we do. And there's some things that I know that we're conditioned to do, to hug someone, to comfort, right? We're going to do that. But that's coming from a place within us of love. And we want no one to be hurting. And even that is like, we are looking to feel better. If we can help you feel better, we feel better. Does that make sense? That's not a selfish thing. That's a natural thing. We're always wanting to be feeling better. That's what God wants. God is never sending us out there to feel crappy. Ever. When we do, we can know that it's only of our own making with the thinking that we're having about whatever the matter is at hand. Shar, we are just speaking our truth to you. Yes. Ooh, I got goosebumps. I really want you to see that, because it will, the impact, the residue, the memory, the thought. A memory is just thought. The memory that you are reliving from that moment. Do you notice that you're the only one present to it, and you're the only one feeling it? The teacher's long gone. And why I want to help you to become aware of this, because I know that in this moment you can feel something totally different. Even though that thing still happened in the past, it's only a memory now. Is this helping even just 1%? Awesome. Awesome. Even a 1% increase in any is pointed in the right direction. And of course, we've seen today that it can happen in a moment, because it's always there. When we allow ourselves to be a little less mindful, we experience it. We have this available to us any moment of every day. Sometimes I get angry and I want to write to her. Hey, Sunita, I would love to invite you to see if there's a time when you're not angry and you get the guidance to write to her. That, yeah. Because that could be, I just got goosebumps again, because we don't know the impact. She likely does not know the impact she had on you. And you do not know the impact of writing just an informative letter, not out of anger. That's why I said wait, because that is not of infinite intelligence. But if there is guidance to write, just sharing the experience, that could change her world too. She knew you were HSP. Yeah. And you know what? That doesn't always, because when we're coming from, because I'm HSP, and yet I know I'll say things to my family, which all of us are, that would be sharper than I would have liked, but I reacted because I wasn't in a mindful state. This is why it's so helpful to get to know yourself. And as highly sensitive, often allow yourself transition time. I know that's one of my shortfalls, or one of my shortfall. It's one thing I forget a lot. I tend to, even today, I scheduled in an earlier morning call when I had that time blocked off, and I made an exception, and it made everything a little busier. And I can do that at times. It was fine. But where I'm not so great at it yet is with my family. Is like allowing time from leaving this office to going to them. I try to eke out every moment here. And that is not helpful. Because then if my daughter comes down right away and I haven't had time to cut up vegetables or putter around or do whatever, and now she wants to talk because she's been on her own, so it's know yourself. Know yourself. It's for your own benefit, and it's also for those around you. Yeah. This has been lovely. Yes. I always invite comments, or if there's any subjects or other things that you would like pondered about, explored together. I'm always happy to see those. And I hope to see you next week, next Tuesday. I can't remember which one it is. I think it was there was one about pain, body pain, and that came from the community, about to explore that. Yeah, I can't remember what the other one was. So, anyways, I wish you well. You're welcome, Elena. Yes. I wish you all a mindful moment. That's all you got. One. Shar, this is such a lovely space you've created. Thank you for your gentleness. Shar. Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. Thank you too. Love to you all. See you again.